Hello and welcome back to the FriendSim Fridge Stuck Train. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and today we're covering the Jade Bloods. Bronya's first name comes from both Russian and Bulgarian languages, as Bronya translates directly to armor or shield. Bronya is shown to be a very protective figure, almost to her detriment. Not only does she secretly give special attention to the grubs and younger trolls with developmental issues in the brooding caverns, but she also keeps a firm hold over the other Jade Bloods in her cloister, with her maternal rules and restrictions. She's not even the oldest Jade Blood, she's just the responsible mom friend of the group. Bronya's cast name, Ursama, comes from the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear. As stated, Bronya is the patient friend leader of her Jades, though given her connection to Mother Bears, I have to wonder what happens when she snaps. She does have some amazing strength for a prissy Jade. In Bronya's troll call, she is labeled the president of the Grubsitters Club. This is a reference to the Babysitters Club, a book series that's been readapted over and over and over again since 1986. The president and founder of the Babysitters Club is Christy, a middle school girl who is a punctual leader full of ideas, but is also very bossy. Though Bronya's image does not fit with Christy's tomboy aesthetic, as Joey Claire has noted that the Jadecast's choice of clothing looks similar to Earth's Catholic school uniforms. Though I think the nuns would have issues with Bronya's hair dye. If it's hair dye at all. In Bronya's Hiveswap promotional, she is called a true neutral. As any writer or D&D player could tell you, neutral-aligned characters care little about conflict and tend not to endorse or condemn other people's actions, instead only caring about their own interests and goals. Though, if given the choice between good and evil, true neutrals tend to default to the former. I mean, caring for the most cullable grubs in the caverns could be seen by some as against the law, punishable by death. But Bronya does it anyway. True neutrality tends to be a running theme with Hiveswap's Jades in general. Though it's hinted that Bronya may not always have been as pure as she appears to be. Maybe if she was more open with her own past rule breaking, every single one of her friends would be less likely to rebel in the present. Granted, Bronya's neutrality is probably more a reference to her sign. Bronya's sign is Verus, sign of the adaptable, making her a potential prospect dreamer and a hero of breath, like John Egbert and Tavros Nitram. Told you she's the friend leader. Now I'm just imagining Bronya saying John lines. Rule number 1, I'm not a homosexual. Though that would be a false statement, as she reappears during Elward's route in Volume 6, revealing that Elward and Bronya are awkward exes. The Cerulean Troll even claims that Bronya babied her during their relationship, just like how she treats her Jades. Bronya also appeared in Volume 18, bursting into the M-rated party the MSPA reader and Lank are attending, dragging the Playboy back to the cloister by his actually drawn ear in the good ending. She also makes her Hiveswap Act 2 appearance in the Jade Teal car, chaperoning her friends just like her placeholder name alluded to. Kind of interesting that since Cloister Jades are not supposed to ever leave the caverns, Bronya is leading the field trip to Javik Week. Huh? During the trial on board, Bronya shows her true neutral side to the max, as not only does she not care who stole the book, Fresh Teeth, she also doesn't seem too upset at Lanera's implied culling in one of the outcomes. Only that order and peace has returned to the trip. Speaking of which, the Homestuck Wiki hypothesizes that Lanera Scalby's first name could be referencing Alvaro Garcia Lanera, a Bolivian vice president who is also noted as a fan of Marxism. While I have no idea why a troll like Lanera is connected to that questionable political movement, the former part makes sense, since Lanera is Bronya's self-appointed second-in-command. As for her cast name, Scalbi, fans speculate that it could be a reference to Kāris Skalbi, a Latvian writer, poet, and activist from the late 1800s who wrote 72 fairy tales. And Lanera is the kind of troll who prefers books over other trolls. In her original troll call, one of her bullet points is a lyric from Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do, a song basically about Taylor going through a mental breakdown. Even her dialogue at the bad ending of her route directly quotes the title. Her befriendment splash text even references You Belong With Me and Shake It Off. Adding up all of her tropes and traits culminates in Lanera being a straight-up yandere. Yandere comes from the Japanese language, denoting the type of person who comes off as innocent and sweet, but under the surface is truly psychotic and dangerous, out of devotion to their love interest. A stereotypical yandere move is to brutally murder rivals for their lover's attention with a sharp knife out of jealousy. It doesn't help that Lanera literally has a stab meter in her heads-up display, or that her cavern on her route seems to be covered in mystery blood smears, though she claims she'd never kill anyone on her good ending. The object of Lanera's obsession is Bronya. She claims to be Bronya's best friend and is not so secretly in love with her, the conflicting notions causing her a lot of distress. A troll of extremes, Lanera easily develops unhealthy attachments to others. Good news is that she knows this, and by the end of FriendSim, she is actively trying to open up more to other trolls and to new experiences, thanks to the reader's help, of course. Besides her obsessive stabby ways, Lanera is very organized and learned, finding all the other Jades except Bronya to be disgusting rule breakers, and so choosing to avoid them in her book-filled cavern. When forced to interact with others, Lanera is shown to be naturally distrustful, emotionally unstable, and socially awkward. Above all, she is strict, which fits well with her sign, Vuriborn, sign of the stringent. As a Vuriborn, Lanera is a potential Durst Dreamer and hero of rage, like Hiveswap's best boy, Zephyros Trito. Lanera makes 2 other appearances in FriendSim. In Volume 15, Wanshi Adyata knows who the reader is, through Lanera's jealous tangents, as the older troll is her teacher. Later, when walking the girl back to the caverns, Lanera is waiting to meet them, scolding Wanshi for leaving without a chaperone, hinting that she secretly cares about the littlest book-loving Jade, though the feeling is probably not mutual. She also appears in both versions of Lank's route, either scathingly insulted by the boy or supported and accepted by him. You could probably tell which one is more likely to be canon. She also appears in the Jade Teal train car in Hiveswap Act 2, where she is making the biggest deal over the Fresh Teeth book and promptly blaming Daria Joanjet for its theft and damages. In one of the trial's endings, appropriately labeled Scapegoat, Lanera is framed and found guilty of the crime instead. It is insinuated that she is culled off-screen by their judge, Marvis Sholoto. No one, except maybe Joey, seems upset by this outcome. Wanshi Adyata's first name comes from Wan Shi Tong, the knowledge spirit from Avatar: The Last Airbender, who, not so coincidentally, is also found in a library. The phrase Wang Shi Tong means, he who knows 10,000 things, and in the Taoist tradition, this means said person claims to be all-knowing, which fits with Wan Shi's troll call promos claiming that she knows all of it. Her cast name, is possibly connected to Aditya, aka Surya, the sun god of Hinduism. Besides the sun, Surya is also in control over the Leo constellation, which could explain a lot about her fandom choices. One of the younger trolls we meet on Alternia, Wanshi's troll call, FriendSim promos, and her placeholder name all label her the Book Girl. When we first interact with her in the library, she's reading Scribbled Journal of a Gullible Wiggler, the Alternian equivalent to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. Though it's with the Soldier Purbeast series that Wanshi finds her true passion. She even has some celebrity status in the fanfiction sphere of the fandom. And, as a Warrior Cat fan myself, right on. And fun fact, the cover for the copy of Soldier Purbeast Wanshi gives the player resembles the original cover of the final book in the Prophecies Begin arc, The Darkest Hour. Ironically, Wanshi's closest friend in the cloister is probably Lank, as Wan Shi reveals that there is a Jadeblood boy in her cloister who roleplays Soldier Purbeast with her, and is actually very into the cat drama, but downplays it. Wan Shi's sign is Vermino, sign of the inexhaustible, making her a potential prospect dreamer and hero of doom. Huh? Doom aligned? Actually, that makes sense. During her route, the reader is constantly concerned with trying to keep Wan Shi safe from death and danger, if not outright exposing it to her on accident. I mean, the reader ends up getting crushed by a collar bear right in front of her. Wait, a bear? That's a coincidence. Wan Shi appears on the Jade Teal train car in Hiveswap Act 2, and girl, what did the writers do to you?
Wan Shi is the one who frames Lanera for the theft and desecration of fresh teeth, more than willing to let Lanera take the fall for a crime she didn't commit, smiling all the while.
If Joey ends up convicting Wan Shi of the book's theft, Tizius calls a mistrial, since the small jade is actually innocent. No one ends up dead, and all is forgiven. This earns you the achievement, Best Possible Scenario. Literally can get away with murder. That's how cute she is, and I appreciate it. Daria's first name is a reference to the 90s MTV series and namesake character, Daria. A disaffected, cynical teenager, Daria Morgendorffer traverses a satirical take on the high school experience with sarcasm, wit, a deadpan voice, and a matching resting face.
Daria, people judge you by your expression.
Yes, and I believe there is something intrinsically wrong with that system. I have dedicated myself to changing it.
Her cast name is a direct reference to English hard rock singer and guitarist Joan Jett. One of Joan Jett's earliest hit songs, Cherry Bomb, is quoted in Daria's troll call. You could say she doesn't give a care about her bad reputation. But I think her punk design betrays that she does care a fair bit about what others think, despite her apathetic front. Daria is one of the more rebellious Jades we meet, sneaking off to go to parties and having a real angsty attitude. This stems from Daria's feelings of helplessness, as in less than a sweep, she'll be off-planet in forced isolation for the rest of her life. This powerlessness manifests in her seeing Alternian society through a disillusioned lens, swift to point out hypocrites and to lash out with anger. Very much a mall goth.
Man, I miss mall culture.
It is interesting that one emotion she does show unintentionally is fear. Specifically fear of purple bloods, like Chow Maynard and Marvis Sholoto. Because of this, we know that she doesn't necessarily want to die, not even to escape her fate. Although, her route's bad ending does imply her death, so wrapped up in her depression spiral that she lets the mall fire consume her. Her good ending has her channeling her anger into something more positive. With the reader's help, she becomes friends with the logical Tizius Entic, agreeing to help the Teal Blood with her plans to change Alternia for the better. I'm sure they do a splendid job. Despite her attempts at hiding her emotions, Daria has shown romantic interest in two known trolls on her route. Early on, readers can tell she has a clear, flushed crush on Elward, Bronya's ex. Later on her good ending route, Daria talks about Lanera, saying that she hates her in a non-romantic way, but then quickly walks it back, possibly showing a colligonous interest in the Yandere. According to the commentary by James Roach, composer of the Friendsim album, the full title of Daria's theme might be a version of the Alchemy's equivalent exchange quote, a la Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know what that has to do with Daria, but it's there. Daria's sign is Vernius, sign of the fierce, making her a potential prospect dreamer and hero of hope, like Jake English. A depressed hope player, who could have guessed?
Excuse me?
I regret nothing.
Some legs, you coward.
The only other appearance Daria makes is in Hiveswap Act 2, a passenger of the Jade Teal car. She is falsely accused by Lanera of stealing the Fresh Teeth novel, causing the whole trial scenario. All the trial endings have her surviving and proven innocent, or at least not guilty. Apathetic as the night is long, the only part she seems to care about in her trial is Tagiri's section, where he starts bad-mouthing Hatch to Dance, and defends her favorite idol from both the Teal Otaku and Lank. Speaking of whom, going for the simplest explanation available, Lank's first name could be derived from the word langue, which means language or tongue in French. His last name is derived from Bombyx, the scientific genius for silk moths, literally meaning silkworm. So his full name could mean silk tongue or smooth talker. Quite the opposite to his troll call and friend Sim promos, who describe his sharp fashion and sharper tongue. They also talk about his cravings for eternal life, as well as his being an emotional vampire, draining others' energy and self-worth. While the vampire aesthetic is present in most Jadeblood designs, it's definitely more exaggerated with Lank. His chic, preppy school uniform resembles your stereotypical classy vampire, especially his blazer hanging over his shoulders like a cape. His aggressive flirting style also incorporates rainbow drinker elements, though Lank makes it clear that he's playing up the vampire shtick, probably for sacrilegious effect, and that he's not a real rainbow drinker. This sense of exaggeration is very intentional for him, as his writer, V of Homestuck, claims that both of his routes are canon to his personality, though turned up to 11 for humor. The same playboy who would go buck wild at a party and insult you to your face is also the same guy who would gladly spend time with one of his fellow Jades in the caverns, affirming their choices and talking about their shared interests. Though, something I wish I knew V confirmed as canon was if Lank is a trans man or not. For research purposes, okay? As male Jades are a rarity among the second rarest blood caste. Granted, this claim is backed by both Kohen and Poinko, but they're not even part of the Homestuck staff anymore, let alone this troll's creators. Lank's artist seems to make him pretty dang masculine, though.
Are you seriously staring at another problematic troll's chest?
Lank's an 8, but he's likely to kill you using only his words. He's no Marvis, that's for sure.
What are you mumbling about now?
Nothing. Let's move on. Lank falls into the similar train of thought as Daria does when it comes to dreading his rites of maturation. But while Daria finds issues with Alternian society to be the source of her woes, Lank is focused solely on maintaining his hedonistic lifestyle. Therefore, to live his remaining year of freedom to the max, his form of rebelling involves wild parties, mature substance abuse, and a whole lot of paling. He may have even had a concupiscent relationship with Hatch to Dance member and fellow Jadeblood boy, Ectius, presumably a pitch one, as Lank hates being constantly compared to him and finds Ectius' fashion choices to be garbage. Lank's sign is Versky, sign of the alchemist, which makes Lank a potential prospect dreamer and a hero of life, like Jane Crocker. At the time of making this video, he is currently the only life-bound troll to appear in FriendSim and Hiveswap, though his sign also appears in Homestuck.
In fact, both Lank and Bronya's signs make an appearance in Act 6 of Homestuck, as Roxy is preparing to steal the Matra Orb from the Void.
Lank also appears in Hiveswap Act 2 with the rest of his cloister, and is present for the trial, often giving his own colorful commentary. Clearly, this Lank resembles his not safe for work route. Lank is the true culprit of the theft and the desecration of the Fresh Teeth Tome, planning on using the confusion as an opportunity to escape the other Jades. But you might not want to advertise this, unless you're an achievement hunter. If you correctly accuse Lank as the culprit, he throws you off the train, earning one of the game's only death endings as well as the achievement Detranslation. Wait, was that a detransition joke? And that's all the fridge facts I have for the Jade-blooded trolls of FriendSim. I hope you enjoyed. There are probably headcanons aplenty out there, so you have to forgive me if I missed one or didn't think to include it. These videos are getting too long as it is. We've got a few more stops for the FriendSim fridge train, and I hope to see you for the next one, where we're covering the Teals! Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye! Now I'm just imagining the sufferer just being like T-posing, like, no! And I'm like, I promise, Cancri, nothing's happening.
Hey there. Consider becoming a patron, just like the phenomenal Bleed Red, Alexander Madeline, and Cloudy Days.